All right, hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the earliest Spanish explorers reaching the Americas. So, we'll be talking today about the Spaniards reaching the Americas, the Columbian Exchange, and then the impact that the explorers had on Native Americans. Now, as we've just talked about, while explorers are thought of as heroes to many, there are also negative things to consider about them, and we'll be talking about some of those today as well. So many Europeans, when they first started to explore, believed that their technology and culture were superior to those of Native Americans. However, it's really important to remember that Native American groups had developed governments, kinship systems, cities, and irrigation systems without the help of any um, European peoples. The first person that believed that America was a new land, the first explorer, was Amerigo Vespucci, and that is where the Americas get their name. Now, one of the important things to know about exploration at this time is that it led to the not necessarily invention, but the occurrence of the Columbian Exchange. This is something that changed life on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. The Columbian Exchange is what defines the transfer of plants, animals, and diseases between Europe, Africa, and Asia, and the Americas. So, this is not like an exhaustive list of all of the things that were traded and transferred in the Columbian Exchange, but it is a good starting point. Some of the things that Europe, Africa, and Asia sent over were things like cattle, chickens, citrus fruits, coffee beans, grapes, horses, onions, peaches, pigs, rice, sugarcane, and possibly the most important thing that they sent were diseases, things like smallpox, influenza, typhus, measles, and malaria. Now, I think this is most important because before the explorers came over, these types of diseases had not been seen in the Americas before. So the people, Native Americans living in America, did not have the antibodies to fight off these diseases. So they would get really, really sick, and a lot of them died because of these diseases. In exchange for those goods, Americas sent over things like beans, cacao, which is like what's used to make chocolate, maize, which is corn, peanuts, pineapple, potatoes, pumpkins, squash, sweet potatoes, tobacco, and tomatoes. These things were all, again, sent back over to Europe, Africa, and Asia, mostly Europe and Asia, um, in exchange for the other goods talked about on the last slide. So these, as we've kind of talked about, led to a lot of changes to Native American empires, the exploration, and continued interest in the Americas. So the Spanish specifically conquered natives and took all of their precious metals. They also would enslave the natives, they made them slaves. And then those natives suffered from starvation. They were very much so overworked, and diseases killed a lot of them as well. So I wanted to give you guys a couple of examples of some of the groups that were really, quite honestly, devastated by the Spanish exploring them. The first one are the Aztecs, who are located in what would be considered current day Mexico. An explorer named Hernan Cortez brought more than 500 conquistadors or conquerors when he landed in Mexico. He scared a lot of the Aztec peoples because they had never heard guns fired or seen horses. So these explorers and conquistadors and whatnot were kind of like these super powerful killing machines on horses. Cortez and his men went to Teclo. Sorry, I have a hard time saying this. Tenochtitlan, where they captured Montezuma II, who was the Aztec leader. Cortez then demanded gold for his ransom. Unfortunately, Montezuma was killed. The Spanish lost at this point, but they left behind smallpox when they fled the Aztec city. And the smallpox killed more than 100,000 of the Aztec people. Then Cortez and his men returned and destroyed Tenochtitlan. This city was actually placed where current day Mexico City is located. So the other group that I wanted to kind of talk about is the Incas, who were located in what would present day be Peru. An explorer called Francisco Pizarro captured the um, city of Ataplua. The Incan ruler offered him a huge room full of gold, but Pizarro decided to take the gold and kill the ruler. So before this, the Incan Empire was one of the wealthiest in the world, and it was successful because the empire was linked by highways. This is the first time that we had really seen some of these complex systems of navigation that the Incans built. So to wrap up, I think it's important to remember that while um, we also we talk a lot about some of the bad things that happened, it wasn't all bad. Um, it can be really hard to kind of weigh the good things that came from the Spanish, and other countries exploring with some of the really bad things that happened. So we kind of have to learn about both and remember that while these explorations and explorers did lead to some good positive changes for the world and led to some human advancement, they also led to some pretty negative things as well. Um, but overall, just remember that because of exploration, the Columbian Exchange was created, which led to a lot of new goods being brought to lots of different parts of the world. Um, but it did also bring a lot of devastation and change to the native people already living in those places. Thank you guys for listening. Go ahead and check back into Canvas to see what your next job is. Bye.